I decided to pick up Amazing Places from my public library. This book came out in 2013 and it deals with structures that you might want to build. And the very first page we see is just some of the pieces you might find useful in creating your own buildings, but you by all means don't need to use these pieces. They're just some ideas to help get you started. And then the first thing, we just start with a simple family house. And this kind of fun. It shows you how to do these slanted roofs, and they talk about like just putting greenery around your house. And they say, start with just your basic shape you're going to begin with. And then once you have that, figure out where your doors are going to go, where your rooms are going to go, but just work on like the outline of the house first. And that's kind of their helpful tip here. And then once we get inside, they talk about, all the different furniture and stuff you could design, or staircases to kind of give that house life. And now if you're doing a two-story house, usually those bedrooms are on the second floor, and rather than just creating bedrooms, think about the minifigures that live here. What would their bedrooms look like? What kind of characters are they? What would they like to see? And kind of build those to not only give your house life, but the characters themselves. Now, as I turn the page, you get the micro builds here, and they talk about if you don't have a lot of pieces, maybe you just want to build these micro builds that, they use less pieces, but you can still look really cool and make a larger cityscape. And here they talk about how to make this roof here, and you can kind of see the insides and how you slowly build it up with these slope pieces. Now let's talk about how you can use like translucent pieces to make like a stained glass window. And at this point, things were looking kind of familiar to me. But when I turned the page, the train station was a dead giveaway. And that's when I realized this book is just kind of a section of the larger Lego Ideas book that I had reviewed earlier. Now, I don't know when it actually is going to go up, because I record these things and then load them up on YouTube's like in months in advance with their, schedule an upload. So, you might have just watched it or whatever, but I actually hadn't read the book for about a month. But here they talk about the train station and how to build that roof. And so if you like that Ideas book, but maybe only like parts of it, rather than buying that big, expensive hardback book, you can get like this individual book that just talks about architecture. And so we're going to kind of repeat a few things here if you've seen that video, but it'll also a little more detail since we've got the smaller book focusing on that. I don't have to worry about these videos running on too long. But once again, we have the station building of a train station, but it's not just about the station. There's other buildings around there. So you've also got the signal tower where the trains have to pass by to make sure everybody's safe. And they talk about how you actually made this railing and how they have those little studs on the side here to create the railings to the signal tower. Then we talk about the inside and the different things you might find inside a train station or airport. You've got the check-in terminals, you've got waiting area, you've got security, all these things you might want to think about building inside your train station rather than just a single building. And of course, then we've got the country barn, and here they actually talk about how the roof is really complicated. So they recommend starting with the roof and then building the building underneath it. Then of course there's more to a farm than the farmhouse. You can have little chicken hens or a hen house here, and again they give you a little tip on how to build that roof. You've got ponds with little animals, and here they talk about just using lots of different types of plants, using different colors. We've got browns and greens to really give it life and texture, because ponds aren't flat. And even in the water here, they use blue bricks, but they're talking about how you can use translucent blue plates as well to kind of create that water effect. So not only do you see something, but they give you tips on other things you can do to create your own pond. And then we got down on the farm, we got a little shack here, the pig pen, and they talk about using different colors of brown, so you can kind of see the dark mud and then the lighter dirt color here. Trees and how you can create fruit trees. So maybe you don't have those, those Lego fruit pieces. You can create your own with round bricks, square bricks on your trees. So you're not just limited just because you don't have a Lego fruit piece. You can still create your own with Lego bricks. And then we get into the castle section, and I've always loved the medieval theme, and they talk about, once again, how you want to use different colors of gray and shades, because these things aren't just like a solid color. Over here you've got how they just use these little pinholes to create the turrets of the tower, the structure of these arches you can create. And then we get into the drawbridges. And I remember the creation actually had a few different types of drawbridges, like doors that go up and down. This really only deals with the drawbridge itself, but really good tips you want to build that. And of course you have bridges, which I've always enjoyed, and they show you how you create these arches to create a bridge. And also using these studs on the side to kind of create depth to this bridge, because usually these brick bridges are not just smooth, they've got divots in them and texture, so you can kind of use those to create the different levels to a bridge. And then here's a more advanced kind of bridge with boats going underneath it and cars, and how you can make these railings and also little signposts. So just getting more detailed so you don't have to make a simple bridge. And of course we have the jungle rope bridge, which is just amazingly detailed, and they show you can use string and use these brown pieces to create the wood look, and how if you don't have trees you can create your own logs and just put pieces in there, which I think is kind of a cool little build technique. And of course you have Into the Jungle, and this is a more complex, more overgrown look. So they talk about how you can make ruins, you can make a trap door. They talk about water and how you can make that waterfall technique look really cool. And then we're going to move on to kind of shipwrecks and how you only build part of the mall. Because if it's a broken ship, don't build the whole ship, build half of it and have it sinking into the water and look dilapidated. Use these hinge plates to make things falling down. And over here they talk about the wreck rocks, because you don't just have a shipwreck in the middle of nothing, it hits something. And so here's kind of an idea for a cliff that you could build to have the ship go into to have crashed, and how you can create a small rowboat, because I assume once they have crashed they want to get to land. And once they get to land they can build their pirate island with their forts. And here they show you it doesn't have to be square walls, and maybe kind of interesting technique to kind of make a little more curve to your fortress. It's not just a square. And here they talk about coloring again, because these fortresses are kind of ravaged by the elements, so they're not these perfect buildings. They've got a lot of rot in them, how to create that rot. And then we have the builders, and once again, these are the same builders from the Lego Idea book. Here we've got Debra Higden, and they give you tips and things that they've done in the past, what their favorite things are. What I really want to share with you is, if you had all the Lego, what things have gone wrong. And so it shows you even these expert builders have problems. And for Debra here, she says like a lot of times she doesn't build them structurally sound, so they end up falling apart, especially when she's moving them to different exhibits. And then she's got to either remember how she built it or figure out a way to rebuild it so it's stronger than next time. So that was a really good tip about that. Oh, and her favorite Lego piece are tiles, because they give a very smooth look. And then what are some of your top Lego tips? And hers is just put things together. Try them out. Put two pieces together, and maybe that in itself will spark an idea. So just play around with the bricks. You don't necessarily have to have an idea in your head. And her inspiration comes from just real life, seeing these buildings in real life and then building them. And the other builder here was Duncan Titmarsh. And this person again has some great tips. What are some of your top tips for Lego? And it's just I always use a brick separator, because I know if you ever use those, keep that in hand, because you're going to want to redo things and try different things. Let's see, then we have and we have Sebastian. Sebastian has what things have gone wrong and how do you deal with it? And it's this. My first response to that question, like any, would be that nothing is impossible with Lego bricks. If something doesn't work, just try it a different way. Figure it out, because you're gonna find a solution. Don't get frustrated. It's there. You just have to find it. And I thought that was an amazing tip by Sebastian. And that is our book from 2013. Again, this was just kind of a little slice of that larger hardback Lego Ideas book that we looked through earlier. But this is great, like if you're just interested in like building. So I really recommend this if you want to build, individual structures for your city. It's a great little and somewhat inexpensive book for Lego.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and you can click on the image to watch another video. Until next time, let's keep building together.